remind the audience to please not talk out loud. Please do not applaud. You're just wasting time.
Aye, aye, Admiral Butthead.
So don't mess with me.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
I pray for the president all the time.
Ugh, back to the lock with you, Nessie.
I've now been in 57 states.
He's what we designate as the crummy moronic type.
We didn't crawl out from under no rocks. We didn't have no tails. We didn't come from monkeys, you atheistic pinko meathead.
Donald Trump no longer has the capacity to break my heart.
I'm not pissed. You've seen me pissed. This is way, way beyond pissed.
Now it's a party!
Don't try to be funny, will you, meathead?
Oh, welcome, brother. How you doing?
Another day in the paradise here, brother.
Another day in paradise. All right, so
how come you don't get it for 2 hours though, or maybe 20 hours?
Then we wouldn't be able to talk pre-show.
Well, it was already like 30 seconds. That was amazing, James. Did you just add that? How's that? Is that what you spend all your time doing? Like all the
No, I can't. I think I had that for a couple of weeks. That's the sad part of it. I had it for a couple of weeks, and I just realized it today, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. We're going to use that tonight.
I also noticed you have another Hawaiian shirt on.
I do. We're doing the August. August is the month of Hawaiian shirts, John.
That's not Ballistic Patriot official uniform, Magnum uniform.
Why not? Sure, that works for me.
Where's mine? So I keep asking.
Hey, I can't. I mean, we will. John, we will be having gear at some point.
Right.
We do have the trademark for that. So
Got that,
we'll
right?
be doing gear.
That. Yeah.
So maybe we'll do Hawaiian shirt as our with the logo and the name right here.
Patriot, Magnum. What could be better, right?
Right. Exactly.
More appropriate.
Yeah, why not? It works for me.
So you ready for the show today?
Yeah, we're ready. Today we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about. I got some information that I just came through earlier today about some patriots rising against the left. I have a video of a young man who wants to speak his mind, and also after that, we're going to go into your story about the NRA and discussing the NRA, what they're under attack in New York State, and I have I'm going to be going into our discussion on President Trump's executive orders and what they really mean, and the pushback that he's getting, and what a brilliant move it was. But we'll get into that. And then finally, we have, of course, the editor's corner, the VP's picks. So that's our show for tonight.
Namaset.
Right.
Wait. So the first part is the update on the resistance.
The update on the resistance. So I have two videos. So first, I'm going to show actually the young gentleman because he's queued up on the live stream. So I want to put that up there. It's this guy is very, very adamant that he's angry. I got this from Facebook and online. He's legitimately angry at what he's seeing going on in our country right now. So I felt that this was something we needed to share to help get the message out, because our message is the same that he has. So let me put him up on the screen, and here we go.
I'm sick and tired of seeing all these anti-racism posts on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. It's like, we're against racism. Well, that's great. So is everyone else. Like, I literally know no one that's like, yeah, it's okay to be racist and I'm pro-racism. Nobody is pro-racism. Okay? And you thinking that your idea of being anti-racist makes you somehow better than everyone else? That's ridiculous. I've got white people on my feed trying to tell me that I need to care more about Black lives. I'm still Black, and tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll still be Black. And I don't need someone to tell me how I need to be when it comes to issues affecting my community. Why is it like people are like, oh, well, if you don't believe Black Lives Matter and you're a Christian, wait a minute, hold on. Nobody said we didn't believe Black Lives Matter. We said we don't support the organization, okay? And then they want to say, well, if you're a Christian and you don't support Black Lives Matter, then you haven't read your Bible. And there's a story about 99 sheep and one sheep, the shepherd went after the one sheep. Okay, that's great. There's also a story in there where it says remove the plank from your own eye so you can see clearly to remove the speck from your neighbors. Right now, the black community has a plank in our eye. It's called black on black crime. And we're trying to remove the speck, police brutality, from our neighbor's eye. I also know that God values families and God values fathers and God values mothers, and that nuclear family unit that Black Lives Matter has explicitly stated they seek to disrupt, God created that. We've got Black Lives Matter burning Bibles in the streets. Sean King saying Jesus is white supremacy. This is not the things of God. God does not support this Black Lives Matter movement. It is in direct opposition to everything that God and his word and our Christian values, everything that we stand for as Christians. And as Americans, capitalism is the foundation for our country, and Black Lives Matter stands against capitalism.
So, brother, he has another 5 minutes, which is very eloquent.
You can put that up on the website, James.
It's already up on Facebook, our Facebook page, and it will be up on our website. I'll be putting up a link up there probably tomorrow. I'll be having that going on too. But I wanted to make sure that we got that at least out there, because I felt like it's time. We're seeing a lot more of this pushback coming, and I felt like it's time for us to really start acknowledging it.
Well, James, every time you would think, oh, it's all over for America. You see a great young guy like that who's got his head in exactly the right place.
Exactly.
And, things are going to be okay. You get guys like that that are out there. Every time you want to write off the younger generation, and they do have a certain promise, and he's got it exactly right. The only thing is, James, how come you cannot hit us with the bush with our line? See, if I had my old computer,
I don't have that capacity.
If you give me
we're not
the old
there
computer,
yet. We're just not there yet.
I would
just
have
not there yet, brother.
To break you up.
We're just not there
yet. That line,
and it's probably better.
Your own eye,
it was a great line. But here, I want to put this on, just so you know what we have about the resistance that we have going on. You can see the resistance going on in the background here as we're talking. This is Fort Collins, Colorado. Just to give everyone a little, this has been running around the internet today too. You can see a bunch of patriots on the left. There's a whole bunch more. This is a Back to Blue rally that the Antifa crowd showed up to try to disrupt at Fort Collins, Colorado. And you can see the guys in black getting pushed back by no physical contact as of yet, being pushed back, away from the rally. And there's all kinds of patriots behind them. And this is a great video to have. This is also going to go up on the website as well. You can see I condensed it. It's like a 10-minute video that I've condensed. But here, at one point, Antifa is attacking the guy in a wheelchair you might have seen earlier. I'm not sure why, but he's in a wheelchair. What could he have done that's so offensive that a guy in a wheelchair who can't walk, an elderly gentleman at that? Why is it okay to attack someone like that? So they attacked him, and the rest of the Patriots.
So the
rest of the Patriots subdued him. Yep, they subdued the Antifa crowd. By the way, you can't
carefully.
see.
Wait,
see
James. The best way is they subdued him carefully.
They did. Three of them got arrested. One of them got charged. And the best part is you can't see it from the video, but there's actually a trophy.
That was the video where they attacked. It just
Fort Collins. That was Fort Collins.
I know, but it closed on the guy in a wheelchair getting. For some reason, that's backwards.
No, the guy in the wheelchair, he was off the screen. The way you saw at the end there.
It's the guy in a wheelchair.
I can bring it up. The guy here, you can see right there. They're getting arrested. That's the end of the video. You can see them getting carted off, or getting handcuffed, and they're all watching. If you see the wheelchair guy, it's because they helped him. The Patriots helped him get back in the wheelchair. They lift him into it. But yeah, he's not in that scene. That on the ground is one of those Antifa guys getting arrested, and the rest of them were running. By the way, the rest of them were running away at that point. But Here's the Los Angeles, California crowd. You can see that this is a patriot crowd. If you look closely, you'll be able to see that they are flying Trump flags. Not only are they flying Trump flags, but they're also flying the rainbow flag. So this is not, and you just saw it, might have missed somebody. That crowd right there is carrying a sign that says the Walk Away campaign. So what you're seeing in front of you, John, is this is not just, right-wing conservative groups as the media is going to try to portray them as, like, you and I would be portrayed. This is, in fact, a compilation of many different groups coming together because they're fed up and they're marching. These guys are fed up and marching against the left. This is part of the resistance that we've talked about. They're not counter-protesting. This is one big protest in favor of President Trump, in favor of America First agenda. This is the people of America standing up for America. And so that's something that, I want to make sure we get out. It came in last minute. I just want to get that out there because I thought it was extremely important to discuss. And that's
James at 90. I saw a poll saying 95% of Republicans are backing President Trump. 95%. That never ever happens. For 95% of Republicans to be backing President Trump after 3 years of trying to separate of the propaganda press, trying to separate them from Trump, 3 years of it, calling them Russian, racy, racist, and all that stuff. 95%. That means everybody that was Republican is going to vote for him, and they're not alone. The people who voted for him before, the people in between, they're just as ticked off. They're just as mad. And so I think Biden can believe those polls. We want the Democrats to believe those polls. You go ahead. Right. You keep up doing it. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, guys. Keep Biden in the basement. Keep the pressure up. Keep the riots going. You just keep doing it.
Yeah. And John, and the important part here is that this is something that's not just centered in the big red states. That last group at the end, that's in California, John. That's in Los Angeles, California, the center of the universe for the left.
The heart of darkness.
The heart of darkness. We are pushing back. There are people standing up there in the heart of darkness. The left is standing up there against the nonsense they're seeing. Not surprising though, when they say that you can't sit on the you can't go in the you can go in the water, but you can't sit on the dry sand. They say that you can do those kinds of things because you might get COVID. If you do those things, you might get COVID. If you can go swimming, but if you sit on the dry sand, you might get COVID from sitting on the dry sand. This is the kind of lunacy that we've been seeing in this monopolistic, government-controlled everything leftist society that they've created. It's no wonder why there's a big pushback there. We're going to have to really do some more investigations into California. But California, by the way, is primed to be split up in our Take Back the Star campaign. Yeah. That's something for us to talk about. That's coming along. I'm hoping to have it soon ready to go to the editors. But last thing I want to talk about, brothers, again, look at all this pushback that we're seeing. We have now in New York City, Camillo de Blasio, Wilhelm Camillo de Blasio wants to have checkpoints. So he's not going to allow stop and frisk. He's not going to allow you, he's not going to have any way for you to be identifying somebody based on the way they appear. But he's going to have you or have the police at Penn Station and other areas to go after people who come into the state from one of the red states that have a very high coronavirus numbers right now. So this is the guy that you're seeing going on right now in New York City. He is such a racist individual to begin with. He is such a blue state. Not even liberal. He's a blue state communist, a Marxist, and we see this guy saying he's going to send people to your home to track you down, and he's going to get $10,000 as a fine if he catches you in the city and you haven't identified and self-quarantined. So this. I mean, of course he's going to do it because he's going to get $10,000 about it to feed his big blue city nonsense. So this is what we're dealing with, and of course we're going to see pushback from this kind of nonsense. And by the way, brother, I hope you're ready for your segment because we're about time to switch. So if you want to talk about your segment now, this is the lead into you. You're going to be talking about the NRA. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, if you're listening right now, please share this video. Please get this video out. Let's get as many people watching as we can so that we can stand up. Remember, we're fighting for you. You're fighting for yourself and for us when you are spreading this message. So please get that message out, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get the message out. So go ahead, brother. It's your turn.
All right,
the NRA.
This section, we're talking about Attorney General Letitia James just filed a lawsuit against the NRA. Now, I hate going through legal papers, but I made the effort on this.
John, you're a lawyer.
Whoa! Why you call me names? Why you call me names? Brother, I thought we were over that. You're still mad. You're still mad at me over something.
Right,
all right. So I went through it, and Letitia James filed this lawsuit. It's about 169 pages, and there's some particular points about it. She files a lawsuit against the NRA, specifically against 4 of the executive members of the NRA, including of course, Wayne LaPierre. Who is really the force behind the NRA today. I guess their main place of business is in Virginia, but they're organized in New York.
Well, they were originally organized in New York, John. That's where the first club was. Do
you know the history of it?
I do. I did some research. Well, first off, they had several. I'll mention some of their notable leadership. They had Ulysses S. Grant was the president of the NRA at one point. They started out as a sportsman club. They found that there was a lot of inaccuracy. I think the soldiers during the Civil War were missing more than they were hitting, and a lot of that had to do with tactics. But they recognized a lot of the soldiers, the leadership in the Army said we really need to get some kind of group together that will help not only get people to know guns better, but become better target shooters. And so that's right. That's what the NRA
Union officers after the war decided that the Confederates shot better and were more accurate.
Exactly.
And they worried that they were going to have to do it again. So the NRA is not only is it a civil rights because it's protecting the Second Amendment, it is literally designed to prevent the onset of the Democrats from trying to create racism, enslave people again. So they got together to improve marksmanship, and they created this organization called the NRA to improve marksmanship among the citizenry, so that the next time they would have to go to war, they'd be more effective. And they believed that the war would have been way shorter if Northern patriots who stayed in the Union could shoot as well as the Democrats who wanted to destroy the Union and enslave human beings. So they came up with the NRA. It's been great. Now I have, as a quick aside, NRA has been supplanted by other groups like Gun Owners of America, mainly because some idiot in the NRA hierarchy decided it was a good thing to allow the slippery slope of the prosecution of mere possession of guns. So some idiot in the NRA who remained lamest decided, I guess got burglarized and robbed at one point, and so they said it was okay that if we make it a crime if you merely possess a gun. And sure enough, the number one thing, one of the number one cases that I have that I'm constantly having to fight is the mere possession, not the use of a gun in like an armed robbery where you can infer the criminal intent because they're bashing some poor person over the head with a gun or they're shooting someone. No. Just the mere possession. And I've had the case of the poor guy who was just trying to defend himself in the city of Chester with a gun in his back pocket, a little tiny one, in case he got backed into a corner and had no criminal intent with it at all. And yet he goes away for 5 years, thanks to the idiot NRA. So in a lot of ways, this is something that they've started and that they didn't stand up to, because once you go down the slippery slope and you don't fight, there you go. But they are, the original Ballistic Patriot himself was a lifetime member We have there is a brother who's a lifetime member. So, and they do mainly do good stuff. They are definitely on the right side. So they deserve our support, and they deserve this segment where we're pointing out some of the some laws. So anyway, this Letitia person, James, decides that when she's running for the office of Attorney General, she says before she even gets the office, she's going to deliberately persecute the NRA. Now that's something that's actionable. Because she gets in there, she files this suit. It's a very interesting suit. It's 169 pages of gobbledygook, where basically she's looking at the NRA charity as the charity under the and it's prosecuting under the charities law. The New York City has a charities law and she's saying these are misdeeds under that charity law, in that it's a fraud, and she's constantly demanding that the charity and Wayne LaPierre is fraudulently taking these the money from the NRA charity, and then it does not make any logical sense. But so she then demands that the NRA be disbanded. That makes no sense at all, because she spends the entire 18 counts going after the fact that there's been mismanagement of the NRA. Now, I'm not a big fan, again, another side of this idea that you have charities that people run as charities, yet they don't do charitable work, in the sense that they're not feeding the poor, they're not a church, taking in orphans or widows or anything like that, and yet they get this protection of charities. I'm not a fan of that, but the NRA is organized as a charity, and the things that she's complaining about are ridiculous. Say Wayne LaPierre is taking a private plane instead of coach plane. Well, he has to do that because he's so recognizable that that people have been screaming and attempting to assault him. That him and his wife are taking vacations, to rich areas. Well, they're doing that because that's where the rich donors are, and that's where they have to get their the money for the NRA. So it's a complete non sequitur. Then she says, okay, this is mismanagement, and that therefore you must disband the NRA. Now, good old, especially in the fact that you have good old, one of the brotherhoods of the racial justice crowd, the Reverend. Al Sharpton, the number one racist in America today, in his charity, he just uses it as a front to funnel money to himself as he race hustles and shakes down these individual corporations. So they paid him like $250,000 or something for the rights to his life story. His life story ain't worth crap. But if you're going to say that's the standard, that you can do stuff like that, are you really have a basis to go after the NRA? No, of course not. Now, what this is actually the second, a little background here. This is the second foot dropping, because the first foot is good old Cuomo and the real evil little twit that's behind all this. So Cuomo files, and I'm not getting there yet. I'm not there yet. Cuomo had filed a suit against them on behalf of the NRA, on behalf of the state, because he wants their members and their donors. See, this is really against us, and that's why the NRA needs to be defended at all costs. Okay, because now he's doing this at the behest, him and James, at the behest of the true evil little twit. I'm wondering if you can guess who it is behind all this, the big time donor that's putting all this pressure onto the NRA. Can you guess? He's short, stupid. No, he's dead. The Clintons got him. He's short, stupid, arrogant as can be. He spent close to $1 billion and got like 3 votes for it.
Would that be Michael Bloomberg?
Yes, you're actually. Now, he has a front group called a quote quote charity called Everytown, and that's where it is. So part of what needs to be done is that we need to go after Everytown, and now they filed a NRA filed a brief 20-page response requiring saying that they want punitive damages and things like that, but it's just not aggressive enough. Interestingly enough, she goes after the NRA not criminally but civilly. She could have done it criminally. She could have gotten and paneled a grand jury, but it might just be that it's the grand jury. It's hard you can't do it now. It's near impossible to do, and that's the reason why she did it civilly. Or it might be that she's carefully trying to step around the law so that they don't file criminal charges against it. What needs to be done is when somebody uses the apparatus of the government to persecute somebody for the First Amendment or the Second Amendment rights, which is exactly what's going on. They need to be charged. We actually have a huge, one of the lies is the systematic racism. There's a huge apparatus, scaffolding, a system in place of everything from prosecutors to the EEOC in the federal government to prevent systematic racism. If you were systematically racism, had that practice against you, you, number one, can get a huge payday in 1983 actions. Number two, there are criminal penalties. There are ways to go after penalties. Good old, remember the prosecution of Rodney in the Rodney King case. They beat it on the state level, and then the feds went after him, prosecuted him federally for it. Those guys went to jail for that. So there is a huge apparatus to go after systematic racism, which, since the NRA is the number one civil rights organization in America, was designed to stop the rise of Democrats again, to enslave people and blacks, and again, the number one political prisoner of today is black kid with a gun, followed closely by white kid with a gun, in jail today, that are completely innocent, that have no business being in jail, that just want to exercise their Second Amendment right. Now, I did want to give you a little bit another. This does bring up a very interesting area of the law. I don't know if people are familiar with it. It's a very interesting area of the Second Amendment law that's coming up now. It's associated with the lockdowns in states like Pennsylvania, where King Wolf, Emperor Wolf, decides he doesn't want the stores open, the gun stores open, and us, Ballistic Patriot, and other people that are in the firearms community. There's an evolving area of law that says that not only is the Second Amendment the most absolute of amendments, because there's a like a zone, like if you're going to say math theory, there's a set of rights that are protected in a particular amendment. This one, because it says shall not be infringed, whatever the normal set for rights is, it's even beyond that. It's huge. You can't even come close to infringing upon it. So there's an area of the law saying that Second Amendment not only applies to me, you, and our rights to bear arms, also, though, to any business or charity. This is why I'm kind of shocked that it's missing from Wayne LaPierre's response, or charity that's protecting the Second Amendment. And so, it's some great history. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I wanted to bring out. So there's a couple cases, actually giving a defense. Actually applying the Second Amendment to the sale of ammunition. It's coming up in places like California and stuff like that. Because if they can shut down the ammunition and they can shut down gun stores, then of course, you have no Second Amendment. Now, so interestingly enough, and I retrieved it from my files. In 1777, at the height of the Revolutionary War, when Washington was down and the Americans were down, the rebels were down, a particular British undersecretary, the British colonial undersecretary, William Knox, produced an actual paper that about what to do when the Brits won. It's 1777, and it's entitled "What's Fit to Be Done with America." Okay. Now, in it, he had 4 points that he wanted to do. This is actually the document that the founding fathers reacted to when they wrote the Constitution. Number one, they wanted to establish the Church of England in America. Okay, there goes your First Amendment, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see the founding fathers drafting the Bill of Rights, and it's why it was so common among, when Madison got the Bill of Rights, he got it from all the states, and then he just cobbled together what everybody agreed. So all the states, had these ideas. Number two, the Parliament have the power to power to tax, even though there was without any representation. Number three, hereditary aristocracy, which is what we have now. They attempted to create a hereditary aristocracy. We call them the aristocreeps, and that's who they are. Bill Gates, the Bushes, the Obamas, all of them. They're the aristocreeps. And then this is the key one, though. 4, the arms of all Americans will be confiscated, and that no firearms commerce, including the manufacture and production, shall be permitted. They were going to disarm all of America and stop the production and the sale of arms all throughout America. Now, because that's the actual law there, if you can go and I have the correlated articles in the Constitution, they all match up with each one of those that the founding fathers put in the Constitution, specifically or in the Bill of Rights, to stop to do the exact opposite of what the Brits intended to do to America, in that document. So it's an evolving area of the law. It's something that needs to be prosecuted and persecuted. The problem, of course, is in New York. When you're in New York, you have New York jerk judges and New York jerk juries, and that's going to be a problem. It's why the president offered them that they should move to Texas. And there's a problem with that, though, is because we follow demographics. Me and you, we know Texas could potentially turn blue very relatively soon. So that's not it. So
Tennessee, go to Tennessee.
But that's still, you don't have the best gun laws. My friend, somebody who remained anonymous, will tell you the only place to go to is Missouri. And truth be told, if you were going to one of the points of if you were going to fight a war, one of the places that you would tactically and strategic number one place would be Missouri, because it just happens to coincide with all the rivers. It's in the center of the country, and all the river network coincides, and because of that, all the transportation and commerce sections. But here's the thing. You can't run to Missouri. I wish we had our own world we could go run to. We could start all over again. Do it right? But when you start running, when you don't hold the line against the mob, we've seen what happens, right? The way to handle a mob is that you run at them and smash them as hard as you can. You can't run. And so the New York Times, the New York City must be it must be defeated. So the NRA, despite all its flaws, deserves our complete support, and everybody listening, complete support and donations. Because remember, they're coming after us. Remember, they're coming after us as the members and as the donors, because they cannot be satisfied until they take our arms away, because then they can do whatever little perverts and the aristocrats want to do. That's why it's so important for them to take our guns away from them. That's why the Ballistic Patriot exists, right?
That's right, brother. We got to move on.
All right. And so we'll move on to the next section.
Before we do, though, I want to mention, I forgot to mention something at the beginning, a little update. I don't know if you know who Ed Buck is. You know who Ed Buck is? He's a major donor for the Democrats. He's donated almost like $400,000 for them. You remember when not too long ago when they had Roger Stone, they stormed his house in the middle of the night, right? And took him. They had CNN there. They had all kinds of press, everything. Surprisingly, this guy, Ed Buck, who has been indicted for causing overdoses, prostitution, and he actually is considered, he's injected people with meth. This is a really bad guy, but he's donated like $400K to notables such as Barack Obama and Ted Lieu, Representative Ted Lieu, and a few other California guys. This guy, no storming of his house, just so we know. There was nobody. The cops didn't show up with 20 armed SWAT officers. They didn't show up with the CNN cameras. This guy gets arrested, no problem. 65 years old. I guess they might have thought that they were going to harm his health if they did that. But I just wanted to give a little update on that.
This is the serial killer guy who's inviting homeless black people into his house,
right,
doing whatever, and then killing them with injections. Right?
Yep. Yeah. But they don't storm his house. They don't have 20 SWAT guys there armed, pointing their guns at the family, and they don't have CNN there.
The thing that they did with Stone is his poor wife was in her nightgown in the bed, and those creeps molested her in the bed in front of him. They were trying to get him to do something.
Yep. So I just wanted to make that clear. I don't think that news has gotten out too well. I haven't heard or seen anything on my opposition research when I've looked at MSNBC, whatever it is, and the other fake news. So my segment is to talk about Trump's brilliant plan. Absolutely brilliant, John. He is a genius in so many ways.
The best president we ever had.
I can't say what he did was something that was a conservative act. I mean, he did what what we disliked about Obama with his pen and his phone. And so okay, let's put that aside. But because this was a completely political action that was meant to alleviate suffering for Americans who, at the same time, were being screwed over by the political parties, who specifically the Democrats, who are trying to do everything for their own self-interest. They want to get these, they claim that, to hit this right. The left and the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, they have been hounding that we need to help the blue states out and the states out and give them money and help out with paying for the mail-in voting and everything else, all their other little gimmicks that they want to do, and also to pay off their cronies. So this is really what it is. It's they're trying to use Corona, never let a good crisis go to waste, trying to use Corona to try to squeeze from the American taxpayer every penny so they can feed it to their cronies, because President Trump has been hurting their cronies with the America First agenda. And so this is their way of paying back all those cronies who have been helping. And we see it here in the state of New Jersey. We see in other states. This cronyism is so bad that the Democrats are not even hiding it anymore. They're out there, trying to say they want to give money to certain areas. So what did the actual executive order do that President Trump did? So the first thing, let's talk about the simple things that people aren't complaining about. They delayed eviction. So if you're one of those people who haven't been able to pay your rent, you will now, which was expired, by the way.
Something like 20%, something like 20% or something.
Right. So you now have a chance to stay in your home for a little bit longer, until the Democrats, by the way, try to overturn this executive order.
And good old Schumer was saying that he was going to do it.
Good. This is where we see the actual creepism that these leftists, these Marxists, really are, like Chuck E. Cheese Schumer.
Because they didn't get their money. They didn't get
because they're not getting their money. Exactly. The whole crew of them. The student debt won't be allowed to be defaulted. So if you have student debt, he's not getting rid of it. He's saying you can't pay it off right now. That's okay. We're not going to default. Yeah, he's not gonna hammer them. He's protecting them, which is a good thing to do, because this would ruin these kids' credit, John. It ruined these kids' credit. And the last thing he did was he gave them. This is actually upsetting, I think, both parties, but the Democrats more. He said he'll give $400 to individual people, to the individual for the unemployment insurance, instead of the $600 that Democrats went, and the $200 that's in the Senate bill in the Senate. So that's what the
biggest thing he did.
Oh, I'm going to get to that right now. Which is the most controversial thing, which he's going to have a tax holiday to every American earning less than $100,000 per year. Now, there's been a remarkable amount of pushback against that, brother, where people are now, the Democrats, this is the Democratic tax. So for those of you who want to know what's going to be the push for this upcoming week, here it is. They've already started. They are pushing that President Trump is going to do away with Social Security and Medicare. Because that's what they're trying to say these payroll taxes are paying, which they, is to some extent. But they're also saying that he's going to make it permanent. Now, you and I both know when he says he's going to make something permanent, what he's talking about is it's maybe 6.2%, but he's going to get 6.2% that would go to the general fund that you're going to be able to keep. Now, there's a lot of things to unpack with this. So just keep in mind that the left is now going to push that the president is going to do away with Social Security, which is a lie. It's an out and out lie. Here's first way how it's a lie. The Democrats have, in the U.S. Social Security fund, the trust fund, because it's separate from the regular accounting. There is a regular coming in, $160 billion still coming in from investments and other pieces of where the money's been put. There is also $2.9 trillion. That's right, John. I said trillion dollars in this trust fund right now. And it will not be depleted until 2035. So if they do nothing, if it'll be gone by 2035. So the president is saying tax holiday until the end of the year, or they elect Dopey Obama Dopey Biden to take his place. So that's thing number one to keep in mind. Also, some of the things that have been said about it by people like Lawrence Tribe, a professor at Harvard Law School. Trump might not as well have directed the distribution of $100,000 to every family earning under $1 million. He obviously has no legal power to do that, but daring anybody to take him to court might be a good politics. The former labor secretary of Obama. This is important because of what Obama was so famously known for, using that pen and phone to pass executive order after executive order to do whatever little pet project like he did with the Dreamers. Trump's unilateral actions to raise Social Security and cut unemployment benefits aren't just terrible policy, but they are also run roughshod over the Constitution. The Dreamers never ran roughshod. None of the other executive orders that ex-President Obama did ran roughshod over the Constitution. Just when it's the orange man, just when it's evil Trump. So that's what they're trying to say with that. Some of the most notable quotes that I've been able to gather, brother, from these Marxists. We have from, I think, was it Bernie, and I have Talib, who come out very, very much adamantly against it. I don't have the quotes, but who cares? They don't like it.
What about why they're really scared about this?
But it gets down to, John. So it gets down to, really, it's, first of all, it's anybody who makes less than $100,000. Now, for those of you who complained, this is just we're going to have to pay this money back. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break it to you gently. This is your money. This is not the government's money. This is your money. So you now have until you have to pay it. You have to pay it back, which will probably be April. You have until then to invest it any way you want. Put it into a CD. I don't understand why a history teacher is educating people who are masters and above on what they can be doing with their money. They can be investing it right now in CDs, putting it into a good stable bank account with a good return, using that money to get a return so that you can expand, put money in your own pocket, or use it to pay your goods. And here, John, the biggest thing about this is it's 100,000 and less. So, and if you look at the numbers, these people need the money the most. The people who are going to be helped out by this are the people who are the poorest, the ones who are struggling every single day. This is the exact opposite of what they're crying about. This isn't going to help the wealthy. This isn't going to help the millionaires. This is going to help the mom and pop. This is going to help those people who go paycheck to paycheck. They're now going to have an extra few dollars to help pay down their debts, or
James,
here's an idea, to feed their kids.
I think it's 300 or 400. There's a lot Social Security takes out every 2 weeks.
It's 6.2%, John. It's 6.2%. It's 6.2%. And by the way, it's not just Social Security. It's also 80% of it goes to your Social Security. 20% of it goes to disability insurance. So, I mean, let's also, if we break it down even further, you can see that this money is going to help people who need it now. The Democrats are so big. I want $2 trillion. I want $3 trillion. I want $4 trillion to give to the people because they need the money now. And they're taking that money and they're expecting us to pay it back over the next 100 years. But they don't want us to be able to have the money now that we need now, just by the government not taking it. They got $2 trillion, almost $3 trillion that they're sitting on. That's good, that can be used that we don't have to put money into right now. And you know what? Maybe President Trump is going to use this because it's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move. He's going to use this to say, let's reform Social Security. Let's do something about this system so that you and I can actually use it to fund our future. And, they tell you Social Security is never going to be enough to take care of you in your old age. What's the damn point of it then? If it's not going to be enough, if you have to get a pension, if you have to get an NRA, what the hell is the point of it? Is it just to give some line to some people not enough who can't afford it? Is that what it's supposed to do? Those people who spend all their money throughout their entire life and then they expect to live off Social Security? It's a pipe dream, John. It's a pipe dream. And all we're doing is we're setting up millions and hundreds of millions of Americans to fail when we see that these Democrats just want to try to control us, but they also they give us this false hope that Social Security is some great rescue, some great help. That's not what the original intent was when FDR pushed it through. That's not what it's turned into, and that's not what it's ever going to be, simply because it's run by a government institution with zero oversight.
James, I know you want the Argentine model. That makes sense, where you can invest it yourself, and that's good. But yeah, I think you're really missing what this is really about. Why Chucky and good old Nancy are crying so much. Look at that harpy Nancy. She gives honest hags a bad name. She literally where's her fortune come from?
I got a question for you. Wicked Witch of the West or Nancy Pelosi? Which one do you prefer?
The Wicked Witch every day, every day. That creep Pelosi, right? How'd she get her $25 million to start with? Right, her fortune. Her
she
creep
stole
father.
It from us.
Whoa! Her creep father stole it when he was the mayor of Baltimore. How do you make money? How do you make millions of dollars when you're in politics? Well, she learned it from the worst, her father, and then she turned it into $200 million or more. Nobody knows how much she's actually worth. She's got a winery. She's got all these things, and what she's really, really mad about is the last time she was able to extort money to give to the Kennedy Center, $30 million, where her daughter is, one of her children is, one of her spawn is, so that she can use she uses the government to make her millions. That's what she's so mad about. That's what good old Chucky Schumer is about. Is the aristocrats aren't getting their vig, aren't getting their cut out of this.
That's right.
And for Trump to go over their heads to pull this move, James, it's not going to be a few dollars. It's going to be hundreds of dollars that show up every 2 weeks. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to revise our estimate about how big he was going to win. I called it. I was 3 electorals off last election for Trump. This time, I'm all up into Twitter. I don't know how big it's going to be. It's going to be a landslide, but it might be directly attributable to this point, because now every 2 weeks for the next, till the election, every 2 weeks, people are going to get a check and they're going, holy cow, why is all this money in there? And they're going to go, Trump. So just like when you have Trump money, it's more Trump money. It's Trump money.
John, the Democrats wouldn't give you out phones. They wouldn't give you out phones. Obama, remember the Obama
it's a crappy phone that didn't work. And I saw the Obama car. And there was only one Obama car for free.
and now Trump is Trump money. That's what it is.
Trump money. Trump money.
That's right, brother. That's right. So now we go on to our last topic of the evening. Although I want to make this comment, I think, John, next week we're going to have to talk about qualified immunity and about doing away with it. I think it's time to get rid of it, because these Democrats need to start being sued. We need to start suing these DAs and we need to start hammering on it. They are out of control. We got to do something about it, brother. So, okay, last topic of the night. We have the
You'll change your mind like
corner.
5 times by You'll change your mind 5 or 10 times by that.
Yeah,
I got all kinds of stuff over here. That's supposed to homework that you told me to do. I didn't do it.
Well, all right. At least you're prepared. Look at that.
Michelle, okay, so this is for the VP pick, and this might be our last one, because it might be actually picked within the next week.
Although I heard secretly, John, it's going to be Susan Rice.
You heard that? We covered her, though.
And I'm just saying, I heard it's going to be Susan Rice.
That's what you heard. Now
That's
it could be. It could be. And
that's
then,
the running joke right now.
And then we know that Obama is totally in control, and it's really Obama. So now, but there's another candidate in the Obama area that would be also a potential. Then, if that's the case, Barack himself, right? Obama, so he's going to play second fiddle to an idiot. I don't think that's going to happen. Now he is an idiot. He's the dumbest president we ever had. However,
to be
he
clear,
thinks there's 57 states.
But to be clear, he is not going to run as president. So I don't know if it's a violation of the 25th Amendment, where you can't run more than twice. So I think
they don't listen to the Constitution anyway. And I know, but that's the whole. That's why we expect they're going to.
Because he's not because whatchamacallit, Biden's not going to be president. It's whoever the vice president is. They're just going to move him out of the way at some point.
So that's why. So that's why now that's why we're going to bring this person in. And our actual discussion will be on Michelle Obama.
Michelle, yes.
Now the reason why is because in December 11, 2019, she made a statement to Jenna Bush, Harper, or Hager, whatever her name is, that her and Barack had one way to be involved in politics forever. Now, this could actually happen one of two ways. One of them we've already talked about like 10 years ago or 20 years ago when we first got to start doing this, which is the fact that we believe that Obama was going to go for Secretary General of the UN and then Antichrist. And that's actually a possibility. Other than that, though, it could be the second way, which is she decides that they're going to put Michelle up as VP, and then just like Hillary, she'll be president. Now, so there are some things that make this potentially not a thing. Number one, Biden had said that he was going to have an African American and a woman of color. Due to like large hands, shall we say, her AKA of being called Mike, that's what Obama calls her. Does she really qualify for this? The questionable nature of Obama himself. I mean, is there ever been a bigger wuss as president of the United States? I don't know. So there's some questions that she would not qualify under that. But let's go for the second that she is an American woman of color. So our 6 criteria are race, experience, abortion, looks, competency, and then the it factor. So for race, well, obviously she's a black person. She does have some white blood in her in a great grand grandfather. Now, interestingly enough, for the statistics, she's 56 years old. She has 2 kids, raised in spoiled black privilege, meaning she went to Princeton and got a BA there, and Harvard to get her JD. So for race, she does qualify. Although interestingly enough, when you're researching her genealogy, because she put it out on the website, the slave ancestry she has is her great grandmother on the one side and her great grandfather. Just going to show you how far back slavery goes. So the long and short of that is she was never a slave. She never knew anybody who was a slave. There's no way she could have known anybody as a slave.
Right. Well, it's the same thing that the gentleman from the beginning of our show was saying. Right.
Right. But she's still disappointed in America, even though they made her husband president. All right. So for race, so she definitely qualifies. That's a big positive for her. So for experience, now she does have good experience fleecing people doing the race hustle on people. She was like in Chicago on the hospital board, where she was making $273,613. So she has an idea. She knows how to turn her black privilege into big time bucks. Had no qualifications for being on that other than being Barack Obama's wife, husband, whatever. But that was enough for her to do it. So she definitely has experience, hustle people. Doesn't have experience in working in the real world, but she does have experience hustling people, like the good old Reverend Al Sharpton. So she gets a positive for that. Abortion. Well, she did have 2 kids, and this is a close one, but she's not the brightest tool in the shed, and she will do whatever Barack says, who himself pretends to be a lot smarter than he really is. Now, so since he does whatever, since she does whatever, oh man, I got to stop that. Since she does whatever Barack says, I had to give her a positive for that. Now, looks. Now, I'm not going to say she's Melania, but part of in her own mind, she does believe she's a supermodel. And this is part of the evilness of the left. When they take Stacey Abrams and put her on a cover and say, oh, look, she's a supermodel. This is how you get this nonsense of the emperor has no clothes phenomena, right? But this is part of the sickness of the evil communists. See, it's not. It's like goes back to their fundamental the fundamentalness of communism. It's about the exact opposite of the truth, right? And not only that, it's about exact opposite of truth and cramming it down your throat so that you have to accept it as truth and gospel. The Stacey Abrams is a supermodel, and that Michelle Obama is more beautiful than Melania. Now, come on, there's the truth, the absolute truth. And then there's not. All right. So that's where we are on look. Competency, again, she's a lawyer. So instantly right off the bat, she's completely incompetent. However,
yes, because she's never a lawyer.
Whoa. She's never worked as a lawyer. So automatically competency level goes straight right upright, right? And she's a mom. Let's give her that. She's a mom, she has 2 kids. So automatically she's qualified to be president of the United States, because as a mom, you are a person who knows how to do things, right? So automatically I have to give her a big positive on that. So she's one of the few people to turn it around like that. Now, Elizabeth Warren was a mom, but that didn't work out well. But I gave her a positive bet. On the it factor, I don't know. Again,
John, she's got the it factor with the left.
She does. So give her a positive on that. Again, that gives us 3 and 3. So we're at the 50-50 chance. Now. So what do you think, James? What do you think the chances of her being picked as the vice president?
I can't see Joe Biden successfully groping her, because she'd probably knock him out.
So you jumped to the joke already.
I didn't know that was the joke. You didn't tell me.
It's
I apologize.
The hands are too big. She gives the massages. She doesn't take them.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no way. Now's the point you're supposed to hit the button, and you're supposed to do the video you did 2 weeks ago.
You don't have the buttons, brother.
Where's the video?
The video? We don't have the video. Listen, I was doing too many other things this week. It's just, it's tough.
Where's Darius the Emperor saying to in the 300?
I think it was Xerxes.
Leonidas. Who? Xerxes?
Oh, you want that one? That one I do have. You want that one?
Right.
It won't be long before they feel my spears more than your whips.
Especially qualified to be vice president.
Almost it, right?
Almost,
that's just not going to happen. So there's no chance. There's no chance there.
Yeah, no. She's not. I don't think she's going to be the pick, but she could very well be on the short list. I know that they're grooming her for 2024, John. There's discussions for her. Yeah. Yep.
So you believe like Rush that this is really going to be a person we'll only be able to tell who's really in charge,
right?
And so that would be like Susan Rice, a loyal soldier who then will step aside when the real choice is announced.
Well, so, I think that this is a throwaway election. I think despite what you hear, they have to talk as if this is a real election for them. And I think this is a throwaway election for the left. They know Biden doesn't stand a chance. They know
I think they do.
Oh, they might. I mean, they fooled themselves about Hillary.
Originally, yes. But with the COVID and the lockdowns and
maybe,
the riots.
Maybe. Well, I think they're going to work very hard to steal it. I want to make that clear. So I'm not saying, we should not take them seriously. We should definitely take this whole election serious. But I would take it to the point where expect every single turn you see that the left makes now, some angle they have to try to ruin the election, take away our rights to vote, or somehow manipulate it so that they can fill the ballot boxes with the votes that they want. I mean, John, it's not that hard to copy a ballot. These people can do it all day long and fill it out and put a fake one in and sow seeds of doubt. Right now here in New Jersey, John, they're still fighting over the July 7th election. We're a month away after that, a month plus after that, and they're still haggling. They're still going to court, fighting over the mail-in ballots. Hirsch Singh is still fighting it and still trying to get the win. This is what's going to happen in November. We could get to January 20th and still not have somebody unless we
get a landslide, James. We need
unless it's a landslide, which is why we need to get people out there to vote. Which is, again, John, why people need to share this message so that we can make sure that we get that landslide in November and we can push back against the left. Let's make sure there's zero doubt that President Trump is going to have another 4 years, that no matter what they try to do, no matter what shenanigans they try, no matter what ballot stuffing they're going to try, no matter what illegal thing they're going to do, we're still going to have more than enough votes to win against their shenanigans and kick their asses. That's what we need to have, John. We need to have a landslide. That's the landslides of all time. That's Reagan-esque in its landslide. That's what it needs to be. Reagan-esque.
And he has to win, but win plus past lawyer.
Yes. Yeah. So, brother, that's our show for the evening. Any last minute predictions for the week?
You already hit it earlier in the day.
Yeah, where they're going to go after. Yeah, I know where they're going to go after President Trump for Social Security, which is going to hurt him in Florida, which is why they're doing it, because they know if he loses Florida, he'll lose the election.
Once they start getting those checks, James. Once they get those checks, Trump money.
By the way, Jim
Trump
Hazelton wants to know where his free phone is. and just so you know, Sameem dropped a line that she said. Her note was the Wicked Witch doesn't have ice cream of choice, and Nancy Pelosi does. Remember, in her freezer, her $24,000 freezer was stocked with ice cream during COVID. Good call. Also, Jim Hazelton also said plastic surgery isn't working for Nancy Pelosi anymore. So
when's he going to get his show?
I want him to have his show. I've been trying to get him to take a show. Speaking of which, brother, we do have available space for advertising, and we do want to increase the offerings of Ballistic Patriot to those good Americans out there who are interested in doing a show with support from me and from our staff.
Swag, brother. Swag.
And of course, we're going to be having shirts eventually. I think that we're going to have shirts within. I got to find a good distributor for Hawaiian shirts, though.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Love you. Talk to you soon. And here we go.
God loves you.
We want to remind the audience to please not talk out loud. Please do not applaud. You're just wasting time.
Aye, aye, Admiral Butthead.
So don't mess with me.
I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
I pray for the president all the time.
Ugh, back to the lock with you, Nessie.
I've now been in 57 states.
He's what redesignated as the crummy moronic
We
type.
didn't crawl out from under no rocks. We didn't have no tails. And we didn't come from monkeys. You atheistic pinko meathead.
Donald Trump no longer has the capacity to break my heart.
I'm not pissed. You've seen me pissed. This is way, way beyond pissed.
Now it's a party! Don't try to be funny, will you, meathead?